In this video, we are going to learn how to make a speaker design from scratch in 10 minutes. This is the design we'll end up with. It'll be a complete enclosure and crossover design, good performance, 5.1 preference rating with a sub, 7.3, so great performing speaker. It'll have all of the graph data for you to understand its performance and a diagram of the optimized crossover and enclosure diagram, everything you need to build this speaker. And we'll also be able to see it in the room before we build it, get a sense of its size and shape, scope. So yeah, let's get into it. These are bold claims, I know. All right, welcome to LoudspeakerLab. We're going to design a speaker from scratch in 10 minutes. So this is going to be a high-level overview of how to use LoudspeakerLab to design a speaker, and then we'll have deeper dive videos in the future going into driver selection and crossover design, design evaluation, sharing, things like that. But in order to keep to the 10 minutes here, let's get started. You can see I'm on a Windows machine right now, but you could do this from Mac, from your phone, from a tablet. And I'm going to assume for the sake of this example that you already know which drivers that you want to use. So I'm going to use the same drivers from the Meccano 23. But this time, instead of using X Mechanics crossover design and box design, I'm going to let LoudspeakerLab help me choose the design and crossover. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just searching for the driver models that I already know that I want, the ScanSpeak tweeter and the SB Acoustics woofer, and I'll add them to my bin. These are the drivers I want to use in the design. But of course, I could browse and find, any number of drivers that I was interested in. You might also notice that these drivers have the Meccano 23 name beside them. That's because these are not the manufacturer's measurements. These are the actual measurements that X Mechanic took with these drivers in cabinet. So again, if you can take in cabinet measures, then that's always best. But you can also still get good results from spec sheet. Spec sheet measurements, and in the future I'll do a comparison of in cabinet versus spec sheet, and you can look at sort of the difference of the quality of the design you'd get. But I give my design a name. If I have a website or maybe a forum thread, I can add that as well. I can see the driver bandwidth coverage. So LoudspeakerLab is saying that I should expect these drivers will cover from a little over 100 hertz to over 10K. That's kind of conservative. I think it'll play lower than that. We should get into the 70s with the woofer, and probably 15K with the tweeter, plus or minus 3 dB. Here's where I can manipulate the drivers on the baffle, but I'm not going to do that for right now. I can also see, about how much these drivers are going to cost me from retailers in the US. That's where I'm located. If I set it to Europe or Canada, I would get vendors and cost estimates from that area. So again, here's my box review. I'm not going to do a lot of tweaking here. It suggests a small vented enclosure. This is actually very similar to the one that X Mechanic designed for it as well. So I'm just going to retain that. It's not identical, but it's pretty close. So of course I could change this to sealed or whatever if I wanted to, but once I'm done tweaking the enclosure, I'll go into the draft design. So what it's going to do, LoudspeakerLab is going to take my my drivers, my enclosure specification. It's going to create a design out of them that just has a default standard crossover, and then we can start to see the performance of the enclosure and drivers in that model with just a basic high pass, low pass crossover on the woofer and the tweeter. You can see that here. It's also generating a 3D model based on the enclosure we designed, so we can get a sense for what it would look like. And from here, I can tweak the component values. It'll take a second to start updating in real time once it gets the measurement pack downloaded. So you can see my 3D models loaded. You can see the brace that it suggested and the port and the placement. of the drivers. I can also see that we had a driver for the model for the tweeter, but not one for the woofer, so it's just using a generic woofer. So then I can change component values here to start designing the crossover manually, but we said 10 minutes, so I'm going to hit Autosolve. Now, if I wanted to use this at a different listening angle, I would change that here first because it's going to solve for the angle that I set. But I'm just going to say I'm going to toe them in 30 degrees. I'm going to have them pointed right at me. I'm going to sit at ear level with them. So we'll see what we get from the Autosolve. Okay, it's going to ask me, I can only do a certain number of autosolves per day. This is just a cost containment feature, and the solves take, generally 15 to 20 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll start the autosolve process. And now it's going to start solving. I can't change anything while it's solving. I can't manipulate the crossover. I can't look at other graphs. You can see I don't have any stats really yet coming in. All of this will be filled in while the solver runs. So you can see it's just getting started sketching up the first crossover. So we'll come back as the solve progresses. Okay, yeah, we're starting to get the first little preview of the graph and the preference rating and impedance sensitivity, etc. The sensitivity is going to look weird because the measurements that Xmechanic took, I'm not sure if they were 1 watt, 1 meter, or if he's just not using a calibrated mic or whatever, but the sensitivity is going to look artificially low. But I want to use those in-cabinet measurements, and I didn't want to re-level them, so we're just going to accept the sensitivity that they're at, but know that it's lower than what the real speaker is going to play at. Okay, and we're getting a first preview of the draft crossover. This is very much sort of a sketch. You can see the multiple series resistors where it's trying to compensate for the thermal needs of these components. All right, it's done solving. So we can see the final results of the crossover solution that the solver found. And yeah, pretty good preference rating, 5.1. Of course, with the sub, this is a small bookshelf speaker, so the extra bass response is going to help it. The with sub score can help you kind of evaluate speakers, like compare a tower to a bookshelf in terms of the quality of the output without getting bogged down in like how low it plays. Although F3 of 57 is pretty respectable, especially for music or if you're going to use it in a home theater with subwoofer. Here's the final crossover solution. So you can see, like for instance, the various components and their values, also the power usage at max power, although it would alert you if there was anything that was going to be over its thermal rating. These are evaluated at, looks like 22 watts to get to the max SPL. Although, like I said, this sensitivity is artificially low, so you could add about 20 decibels to both of these numbers. That would be more like what it is going to be realistically. So maybe it'll play up to 96 dB. Let's see. You can you get some stats around the on-axis flatness and listening window flatness and RMS. You can look at the graph and the contributions from the drivers, the CTA 2034, predicted in-room response, listening window, the directivity index, and see the smoothness there. You can look at the impedance curve. This is pretty much a 4 ohm nominal speaker. There's no distortion data for these drivers. If there were, then you would see the distortion analysis here. You can see the crossover transfer functions. The contours are always interesting to look at. This is normalized to on-axis. You can see compared to on-axis, you're getting really good horizontal radiation, and then absolute SPL. So this just reflecting like the peaks and the dips in the on-axis response. And you can see the same for the vertical contour. So maybe in a future video, I'll compare the results of this solved crossover with Xmechanic's actual designed, human designed and manually tweaked. Although I know he uses some machine learning as well, but but his final crossover and see like what's the quality difference. Spoiler alert, his does score a little bit better, but it's also a pretty masterful crossover if you look at it. So out of the box, this is a pretty good speaker. If you built this, I do not think you'd be upset with it. So when I'm all done, of course I can change, if I want to tweak it, I can change values. Let's say change the value of this resistor or this inductor, and I can, tweak this to try to make it sound better. I can add components, let's add a shunt capacitor or something like that. So then I can, revert it back. I can also see if I wanted to look at it, like maybe I'm going to not tow these in at all. What does it look like? What does the response look like if I have them facing directly forward and I'm sitting in the middle of them? This is what the response would look like. But it was optimized for on-axis listening like this, or maybe they're going to be slightly below ear level. So, what would that look like? Okay, so when I'm satisfied with this, I can hit, maybe one of the most important parts, I can see how much it's going to cost, right? So the estimated cost here is about $150. And the way that this is calculated is it looks for these drivers from retailers in my region. So I can buy these drivers, both of them from Matasound. I have it set to the US. I'm in the US, but it also tells me like I can buy it from Sound Imports or Solon, and I could import those. It looks like in US dollars, it's a little cheaper from Solon. So maybe accounting for shipping, that it would be cheaper for me to buy from Solon. I don't really know. I can also see for every one of the crossover components, where can I buy it? Now it will prefer the vendors that you've chosen for your drivers for the crossover components, assuming that you don't want to buy from a different vendor and pay shipping from two vendors or something like that. It also selects the least expensive compatible component. You can see there's this 50 cent 9.1 ohm 10 watt resistor, but there's a 15 watt version for 70 cents. So maybe you would prefer that one. So I can pick that here as my, as the one that I want to buy instead, right? I can buy the 70-cent one, or there are other alternatives, especially with inductors. You can buy quite expensive foil inductors and things like that, but it assumes that you want kind of the least expensive that meets the requirement here. So, okay. So then if I'm satisfied with it, I guess, maybe just to show this differently, if I am in Canada, this should auto detect where you are in the world, but it will show me the cost in Canadian, then also give me, a lot of these components are available from Solon. So it gives me those options as well. And you can see also it will convert the dimensions and things to metric if you're in EU or Canada or really anywhere other than the US. So then if I'm satisfied with it, I can publish. And what this will do is it will make this design viewable to other users and also unauthenticated users. So just people on the public internet can go to LoudspeakerLab and they can view designs without being logged in. In order to create designs, you need to be logged in, but in order to view them, you don't. And then we can even compare it to the actual Mechano 23 and see, how did it score. You can see the Mechano 23 with its somewhat different crossover, right? Different crossover layout, it scores better, but slightly, and this is still a good speaker. So that's it for this video. Thanks for learning about LoudspeakerLab, and happy building.